And look at him go! He could go all the way! Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown!
The Bills make me wanna shout.
Bills fans, are we looking for a podcast 100% dedicated to your Buffalo Bills? Then you're at the right place. Bills Central Podcast, brought to you by ProFootballCentral.com. And now your host, Chris Brown. Go Bills!
Here on BillsCentralRadio, my name is Chris Brown, and I am joined by the co-host of the show, Reid. How are we doing today, Del?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not too much. Pretty much usual, except a couple things happening today. First off, we'd like to actually thank the fans that have been listening to the radio show here at PFC. We want to extend our thanks and gratitude. We have plenty of guests coming on the show, more in the future. Just recently we had Marv Levy, and then also we are having Eric Wood on the show and plenty of guests in the future. Just wanted to extend out a thank you to all the fans that were listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for today's topic, we'll get into talking about some contract negotiations and situations that have been going on. First and foremost, we'll just throw it out there. Bills just signed one of their second-round picks in Kiko Alonso today. I believe it was a 4-year deal, roughly around $4 to $5 million total in the deal. So they got him done, and now they have only two of the rookies left to sign in Robert Woods and E.J. Manuel.
Yeah, they're kind of working their way backwards, aren't they? They started with Chris Gregg, and it seems like they're just starting from the back of the draft up to the front. So I guess based on the current pattern, we're going to see Robert Woods signed eventually, and then following that would be our new exciting quarterback guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you see it a lot easier these days with the rookie wage scales in the contract signings coming a little faster. In years past, there have been situations where first-round picks and second-round picks wouldn't be signing their contracts until in the middle of the summer, late summer, and some even holding out, throughout the entire summer to get that big lucrative contract. And now with the rookie wage scale in place, it kind of allows teams to go a little faster in signing their rookies and getting them, familiar with the organization that they'll be working with. So I see it as a positive. It kind of just sets the tone really quick for the rookies coming in.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that can happen is for a rookie's growth to be stunted right off the bat with a holdout. You look at some of the players that have done that in the past, and it's really hurt their rookie season. Although I think somebody like Aaron Maven probably could have signed his contract right on the Radio City Music Hall stage immediately after being drafted, and probably still would not have affected his game too much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes with that, the boom or bust picks, they go. And you can just see that, how familiar that was with today's announcement with former linebacker of the Raiders, Rolando McClain, announcing his retirement after his dismal achievements on the field and all of his off the field charges that he was pursuing, and just a big old mess that comes with it. And if something's in place for all these rookies as far as wage scales, they kind of have a little leg to stand on, but it's pretty much parameters are already set, and teams aren't hurt as much, now as compared to in the past if there is a big bust pick.
Yeah, they're not breaking the bank, relatively speaking, like they were 3 or 4 years ago before the wage scale was put in place. So teams, I think, are a little bit more willing to take a risk than they were in the past.
Now, we had mentioned in the previous show with the Buddy Nix stepping down as the GM. Reports have come out that it's presumed that Thursday would be the announcement for Doug Whaley to take over the GM role for the Buffalo Bills. He's going to have a lot on his plate, especially in the contract negotiations with some of the players coming up. Priority number one, as we talked about before, being Jarris Byrd. how do you think his contract is going to shake out? His tender right now is franchise tagged. If he wanted to sign one, would be, mid-level range for safety to high as far as salary price goes. What are your thoughts on Bird's contract, and how long do you think it'll take to get done, and where do you think the parameters are as far as years and value go?
I think that if it's going to get done, I think it'll happen before the season. I don't see them lining up on September 8th, having not signed Jairus Byrd to a contract, and then being able to cross that hurdle before free agency begins in 2014. So I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but I think I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but I do have a feeling if it does happen, then it'll be before week 1. In terms of the contract parameters, you got to think it'd be a 5-year deal, somewhere along the lines averaging probably around like 9 a year. That seems to be the going rate for somebody of his caliber in terms of what he's going to bring to the table, and it'll probably be even more than that. At least you would think so. If he's going to be going into free agency, there'd be an opportunity for him to really get some stupid money from some team in 2014.
Now you can take a look at Golson, who went to the Bucs from the Niners, and you can also take a look at Eric Weddle's contract that he got, and you can kind of compare, those two, and so to speak, take a look at where you think Byrd is in that range. I would put Byrd as one of the top 2 safeties in the league, and he's going to want top dollar, and I think the Bills, with not paying Levitre top dollar in the guard position, have a little bit of money to expend in the safety position, but at the same time have to hold their ground and, get the best deal that's good for them. But I think eventually that, as you had mentioned, that it'll get done before the season starts. I also think it'll get done before training camp starts because of the veteran presence that Byrd brings to the defense and is needed in the secondary.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's been some significant signings that the Bills have done actually in training camp over the past several years, like Kyle Williams is the first one that comes to mind. So it's not like that would be a drop-dead date for them, the kickoff of training camp. But, either way, it's going to have to be done before they're lining up for real.
Now, another guy we could take a look at as far as contracts negotiations go is Eric Wood, center for the Bills. It's a pivotal and crucial spot on the offensive line. And Eric Wood has, been there for 2 years now and is on the last year of his rookie deal. What are your thoughts of him extending a deal with the Bills and hopefully having them reach out and wanting to extend a deal? I think both parties are excited about the opportunity of, having more years for Wood to be on the offensive line and kind of leading that offensive line in the future.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I really am hoping that Eric Wood remains a Bill for many years to come. Obviously, they're going to bring up considerations such as, the number of injuries he's had in his 4 seasons thus far. So that's going to be a part of it. Now, is that going to scare off another team? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know when we're talking about free agency. So that's going to be something that the Bills and Wood and his agent, they're going to have to navigate that over the next several months, because I don't see them franchising him like they did with Byrd. I think Byrd was only the second franchise in the team's history. So that's something they're going to have to figure out, and hopefully they'll be able to find a common ground.
Absolutely. What do you think about losing a potential center like that, who's been there for years, who has been in place now? What are your thoughts on, what would happen if a leadership role goes away in Eric Wood? Who's going to step up? Are they talking about keeping people that they drafted, building through the draft? This hits the head on the nail, so to speak. And what are your thoughts about if he didn't return? What would that say?
Yeah,
what would that say about their role in keeping the guys that they drafted?
Yeah, I think it says a lot to potential free agents as well too. It shows how they value their own guys. But for those of the listeners that follow me on Twitter, or at least were following me back in the spring or earlier this spring, I eventually was able to work through all the different stages of grief with Levitri, and I came to acceptance. But one of my main issues with Levitri was that they traded up to get him. And for me, I know there was a different regime in place and everything, but they traded up to get this guy. He's the best at his position on the team, arguably. And then they let him go. And for me, that's so frustrating. It's like burning money or burning opportunities. So we're just talking about Jairus Byrd, and if they're going to be able to sign him, and then now we're going to work into Wood, and that's another 2009 draft pick. What's the story there? Are they going to not bring him back either? So for me, it's just frustrating. I hate losing guys that we hit on in the draft, and then to not keep them around just drives me absolutely batty. So I really am hoping that they're able to work that out.
Oh, absolutely, and it may be never too early to talk about this. With his recent peak last year, C.J. Spiller, he's got a contract coming up in a few years out here. Do you think it's a little too early, or pregame to start talking about looking to gear up and signing into a long-term deal with the aging Freddie Jackson and the you have Shard Choice as the third running back on the chart. What are your thoughts on consideration or starting to take a look at Spiller long term?
Well, I absolutely love C.J. Spiller. That was a big frustration point for me in 2012 was the fact that we had this guy who is a phenom. That's the only word I can think of. He was a phenom and was not being taken advantage of. So that drove me absolutely crazy. But yeah, they have to re-sign him. Now, one thing that's up for consideration here, and maybe I'm just crazy, but you've got C.J. Spiller, who just the way it works out is he's going to be 26 years old when this season begins. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, he has, I think, 2 more years left on his contract. You know if that's right?
Yep, 2 more years, yep.
2 more years.
2 more years.
So, okay. So that means if this is 2013, he's going to be 26, and then 27 in 2014. Then we have him for 2015, he'll be 28, which means when he's due for his next contract, he'll be beginning that season at 29 years old. Now, just food for thought. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I think Fred Jackson has shown a great example of being an anomaly in terms of that 30-year-old wall that players often hit. So I think that Spiller and his agent are going to be very aware of that milestone, which will only be a year away once his new contract begins. So I think it would probably behoove the team and Spiller to start working on a new restructuring now, just because of the age he's at and just the way that the numbers normally shake out. Like I said, you have anomalies like Fred Jackson, but I don't think when it comes to money that the Spiller and his agent are going to be they're not going to bank on an anomaly like that. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, running backs in this league don't tend to last as long as far as age goes. You have at times it seems a 5 to 6 year window where teams are giving these running backs time to excel, and once they start to see the decline in them, they go elsewhere. And it doesn't matter, so to speak, if you're a big name, but if you're not producing, and once you hit that mark, they're gonna start to look elsewhere because they're gonna want somebody who's going to be able to perform, especially if they're looking to get that top dollar. Yeah.
So that's why I don't see the team allowing his contract to run out. I would expect a restructuring, probably or renegotiation, or however the wording goes, to probably happen within the next year or so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, is there anybody else?
He's vital. They got to keep him. I was going to say they've got to keep him though. Just to touch on that real quickly before we end it. They got to keep Spiller. He's
that goes to. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so he's the most exciting thing to happen to this team in quite a while.
Let me get your thoughts real quick. I'll tell you where I was when C.J. Spiller was drafted. I was down in Myrtle Beach, staring at the TV, and I'll tell you what, I was sitting there, and a couple of people can testify to this, and I was yelling the name C.J. Spiller out loud, and they're like, "You're crazy. We don't need him. We already got a running back. You know, you're crazy. Why do it now?" And I told them when C.J. Spiller's name came up, and I was like, "Man, you guys better watch out. He may not come in right away, although I thought, maybe he would come in and make a splash earlier than I thought that he did. But he's going to be something to reckon with, and he's going to be somebody special. And it's luckily with the flashes that we've seen last year, and we could have saw a lot more flashes. I'm sure we both can agree on that. He was kind of held back at times where we thought maybe he should be on the field a lot more. But I think we got lightning in a bottle, so to speak, as they call it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's his calling card too. So, yeah, we're lucky to have this guy on the team. I'm glad that Nick's basically broke the mold in terms of what everybody else thought that the team should do, and I'm glad that he pulled that trigger.
Oh, absolutely. And, Buddy Nix may have gotten some questions for, drafting him. But I think people are saying, okay, now I see where you're going with that. And maybe that's something that they'll be saying in a year or two now with E.J. Manuel with all the questions that came out, of why the Bills have drafted them maybe a couple of years from now. They'll be turning around and looking at Buddy and saying, I see where you're going with this one too. So everything has a plan. Everything has a plan, and hopefully everything all pans out the way it should with the re-signing of Bird, the re-signing of Wood, and, the extension of Spiller in a year or two from now.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah, we can only hope for the best, right?
Yep.
Well, coming up next on Bills Central Radio, we have a special guest for you. We have the Bills Center. We were just talking about him. Eric Wood's going to be joining us on the show, answering some of the questions. So stay tuned. We'll have Eric Wood coming up right next.
Where else would you rather be than right here, right now, tuning in to Bills Central Radio?
And we are back here on Bills Central Radio. We have a special guest for you today. We have the center of the Buffalo Bills, Eric Wood. How are you doing today, Eric?
Good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go right into it. A couple questions for you. Since you're an alum of Louisville, how exciting was it that the men's basketball team won the national title?
That was an awesome time. I actually traveled with the team all the way through the Big East tournament, from the Big East tournament all the way through the end of the year. So a lot of exciting games, a lot of good comebacks, and ultimately winning the national championship was pretty awesome.
Now, did you have any communications with the unfortunate events that happened with Kevin Ware? Were you able to talk to him a little bit and keep him in high spirits throughout the whole process?
Yeah, and a lot of people reached out to him post-entry. I tried to wait a few days, and then I reached out to him probably 4 or 5 days later, and actually on the same day that I had called him, Oprah and Michelle Obama called the same day. So I don't think I was on the top priority list of people that reached out to him, but I did none the least.
Now you also had a photo op there with Coach Williams from North Carolina. Is he one of your favorite college coaches as well?
Yeah. I just had ran into him walking into the arena, I guess, before the semifinal game and asked him for a picture. I've always followed him through Kansas and North Carolina. I think he does a good job, and I just thought that was a pretty cool opportunity.
Okay. Now, keeping along with the whole Kentucky phase, recently the Kentucky Derby just occurred, and it's kind of unique how there were some ties there with Coach Rick Pitino and the horse that he had racing. Were you fortunate enough to attend the event, and did you bet on Coach Pitino's horse?
Yeah, I was there, and I bet a little bit on this horse, but I kind of had some different favorites that I liked. So, and I knew Rick Luck had to run out at some point, and it did that day. They kind of pulled the horse up early, and but nonetheless, having a Derby horse is pretty awesome.
Did you pick the favorite there to win it? Did you have the winner?
I had the favorite. I didn't have the right combination with them though. And those, when the odds get down pretty low and you're down a bunch of money on the day already, you try and do an exacto or a trifecta or something, and it didn't quite work out.
Right.
Hey, Eric, this is Dell. Welcome back to Buffalo. It's great to see all the players coming back into Western New York and tweeting about it. And yes, it's great to have you guys here. Now, how's it feel being back on the field, so to speak? I know it's not quite a normal padded workout and everything, but how's it feel being back?
It feels good. I feel healthy and feel great, and that's the first time this time of year I felt that way in a while. And the team's excited. We got some new schemes and new coaches and some more energy in the building. So, we're going out there and working each day, hopefully try and turn this thing around.
Yeah, now you've been here since 2009. Unfortunately, this is the fourth head coach that you had in your time here. What's Coach Marone bring that maybe Coach Duran, Coach Fuel, and Coach Gailey doesn't or didn't?
Yeah, all great coaches, and every coach kind of brings his own different demeanors and different schemes, and hopefully, our schemes this year, a little bit more up-tempo on offense, a little more multiple on defense. Hopefully that'll pay off for us, and Doug's trying to bring in some excitement, and we appreciate that. We need to be energized. We need it's put forth extra energy, extra time, extra effort, to kind of get over that hump. So Doug's kind of backing that up with his actions, and we're following his lead.
Speaking of following his lead, we've seen some photos out there in the Buffalo News and on Twitter and everything. He's snapping the ball to the quarterbacks now and then. What's that like? Is he giving you tips and pointers, or is he keeping you off the field, or what's the story there?
Yeah, he's helping us out in some of our individual drills, trying to show us different techniques, and he's snapping some for 7-on-7 to kind of give the quarterbacks while the O-line's doing their drills, he's snapping to them to give them kind of a realistic feel of being under center. So, he's really putting his actions where his words are, and getting out there and kind of doing it with us. So, credit to him for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fun to see that as fans too. Just to see the coach in there intermingle with the players. I know we're so far on the outside, but it's really cool to see that. Question I have about continuing with the offense and everything and the coaching staff. A lot's been said so far about Nathaniel Hackett and the fire and energy that he's bringing to the offensive coordinator role. I'm not sure how much interaction you've had with him up to this point, but based on the interactions you have had, what impressions do you have of Nathaniel Hackett?
Nate was with us in 2009 when I was here, and I liked Nate a lot then, and we talked a lot of football back then, and it's kind of funny to see all those concepts that we talked about back in 2009 coming to play now, as he's the offensive coordinator. And, we're going to try and dictate the tempo to the defense. A lot of times the offense sits at the line of scrimmage and, watches to see which way the defense is going to shift and makes a bunch of checks. And we may do that at times. We may be in the huddle at times, but, we want the defense to be on edge and not really know what kind of tempo we're doing. So, that all kind of stems from Nate's personality. He's an aggressive type of guy, high energy, and our offense will probably mimic that.
Now, you had mentioned keeping up with the tempo of the offense that you guys will be running at these fast-paced offense. Is it anything like you've ever experienced before, even leading back to your college days?
No, nothing like I've ever experienced. It's similar to a 2-minute drill, with the kind of speed we're going at and the kind of conditioning that you need, but it's not ran like a 2-minute drill. We have our entire package at all times, and it's a little more controlled. At times we'll slow it down, which you can't do in a 2-minute drill. You're obviously racing against the clock. We're not racing against the clock per se. We're trying to keep the defense guessing. So, at times it'll be a little faster, at times it'll be slower, but, just being very multiple.
Now, with your role as being the center on the team and having to make all the line calls and adjustments with the up-tempo offense, do you feel that's become more vital now with the new offensive scheme that's in place now, with your role being enhanced more?
A little bit. I've kind of ran the line calls since I took over at center, and that'll be kind of my same role now. But getting up on the ball, getting everybody going, and making quick calls will be vital. And that's a role that I should be comfortable with at this point in my career. And kind of getting everybody going and stuff. That just kind of fits into my role as a leader on the team.
Okay. Now, is there anything that you did this past off season to help prepare you for the upcoming season and staying healthy throughout the entire year?
Not necessarily. Just kind of doing the same things I've always done in the off season. Try and have some fun, get away from football, but at the same time stay in great shape and keep working out and taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. And we reported back here April 1st, and we've been getting after it. Our strength and conditioning staff has stepped it up this year, and guys are going to be in better shape because of it.
Now, Eric, we opened up this interview with asking you about your travels with Louisville and the time spent with the Derby and everything. I got to tell you, first of all, I owe you an apology because I was the guy that tweeted at you the morning you began at Epcot to drink around the world saying you'd be done by noon. So first of all, I owe you an apology since I think you were still tweeting at midnight.
Right.
But that was a lot of fun just to watch you guys basically go around the whole world there in Epcot. How much fun was that? And do you have a favorite country that you visited?
That was a fun day. We started off in Mexico, and that was pretty fun, with the traditional Mexican drinks and Mexican food. And I enjoyed America a lot. We had, like, cheese stuffed pretzel, basically like fat American foods and Sam Adams and stuff, which was pretty awesome. But, it's a fun day, and it's a fun experience down there. And then, we actually got to play some good golf down there, too. So, that was a great weekend down there visiting the Sanborns.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. Now, as you're probably well aware, people enjoy living vicariously through others when it comes to social media and Twitter and all that stuff. And I know I had fun watching the pics that you were tweeting out with you and Garrison Sanborn. Do you have any plans for doing that kind of stuff in the future? Maybe not necessarily like drinking around the world, but like any kind of, is that like something you plan to do, or is this like a spur of the moment, like I think I'm going to do this, or how did that work out?
Yeah, the drinking around the world thing was kind of a fun deal because, I had some buddies that were like, oh, you can't do it, or, and I told them I'd probably try and do 2 in every country or whatever. And then, so that was kind of a fun deal. And then I was going to try and do a Derby weekend, but it takes a lot of effort to constantly be, and I'm not a picture taker. I'm obviously not a photogenic guy, and I don't look forward to ever taking pictures. Plus, I'm not one of those people who carry around a camera. So, obviously with a phone, it's easy, but, it takes some effort. And I was going to do a Derby weekend because, Thursday we had a concert, and then we played golf Friday, and then had Coach Pitino's party, then Maxim, then obviously the Derby and stuff, and then a fight party for the Mayweather fight that night. And I thought it'd be pretty cool to kind of show everybody my Derby weekend, but, after a little while, I kind of just lost track of things.
Now, heading back to the football field and the locker room side of things, over the off season, with free agency going on, you had lost teammates in Andy Levici and Chad Reinhart, as well as the offensive line coach and Coach D. Talk a little bit about how close you guys were and how they're going to be missed, and who you think is going to help fill those new roles within the offensive line.
We obviously lost Chad and Andy and Coach Dallas Sanders, but that's kind of the nature of the business. You just got to move on, and we knew all 5 of us weren't going to be able to keep sticking around. We probably played 2 consecutive years. Well, we had brought in Cordy to replace Demetrius from the year before, and then last year we lost Andy. So, off good offensive lines, people are going to get paid and maybe move around. But, right now we have Chris Scott, Colin Brown, and Sam Young filling in at that left guard spot, and they're gonna compete for that job, and whoever comes out and earns the spot will have earned it through physical competition. So we're gonna ride with whoever they choose because we know that they obviously earned it.
So, Eric, C.J. Spiller, he's kind of the real deal. Not to take anything away from Tashard or Fred or the other backs on the team, but he brings something special to the team that fans haven't had the opportunity to see in a long time. Are there nuances to his game that you have to take into account being, the lineman in front of him? Are there certain nuances that you have to worry about when you're blocking for him as opposed to the other guys?
No, not necessarily. We run our zone schemes and man schemes pretty much the same way, no matter who's at running back. CJ and Fred sometimes as well just kind of have that unique ability of coming out the back end of it and taking it all the way. We don't necessarily have to do different things because of his speed. And actually, over the past couple of years, he's become really good at being patient. And then, when the hole is there, hitting it. But being able to, read with his eyes for, our first few controlled steps and then maybe busting out of that thing.
Okay. Now, the Bills recently just finished up with the draft and the signing of the undrafted free agents, and they're getting into signing some of the rookies and everything. Have the Bills contacted you as of late about extending your contract since you're in the last year of your rookie deal?
No, there haven't been any numbers exchanged or anything. I think both sides, want to get a deal done at some point, but I'm not really worried about it. My agent will kind of deal with that as it goes, and whenever the Bills, with the GM change and everything lately, I wouldn't assume it would happen, within the next couple of weeks or anything. But hopefully it gets done, and the sooner the better. But that's not necessarily something I'm going to worry about.
Okay.
Now, Eric, just one last comment I want to make before we end this is my father-in-law is a huge fan of yours. He would not be cool with you ever separating from the team. I want to put that out there. So ever since 2009, we went to training camp, and we got to watch you guys practice. I'm like, I like that kid. He plays angry. So, we can't break Tom Galla's heart. We got to make sure that you're a Bill for a long time to come.
Awesome, man. You should relay that to one Bills draft, too.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank Eric Wood for taking the time today to talk on Bills Central Radio. We hope to have him on very soon. Good luck to you in the upcoming season and throughout the workouts leading up to training camp, Eric. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys.
What's up? This is Arthur Moats, number 52 of the Buffalo Bills, and you're listening to Bills Central Podcast on Pro Football Central. Go Bills!
And we're back here on Bills Central Radio. We just recently got talking with Eric Wood a little bit. I just wanted to gain your thoughts a little on some of his responses, Del, in terms of Coach Marone and the offense.
I think it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing not only just how the offense is going to shake out, but even the line play. I mean, I'm like most people. I watch the ball while the game is going on, but it is exciting to see what an offensive line coach, a former offensive line coach, what his offense is going to look like. So it'll be cool to see that.
Now you had mentioned Coach Marone actually getting down and snapping the ball to some of the quarterbacks. Do you think that shows the players a little bit that he's not just going to stand there and give direction? He's going to show them the instrumental ways and drills to actually do things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even Eric alluded to something along those lines where he his actions match his words or something along those lines, he said. So, I think it's a huge improvement over the past, three coaches that they've had. I'm not super familiar enough with how Fuel ran it. I think he was a bit more of a involved along those lines, but that was such an interim stint. But, I think it's really cool. I think it's probably refreshing for the players, I would assume, to have a coach that, has done it before and has done it somewhat recently. You know what I mean? That'll be interesting to see how it pans out. What did you think about his some of his Twitter adventures you were speaking to?
Oh, so that man loves Kentucky, and he loves his alma mater, which is pretty cool to see. Players that come from these colleges that give back. Go to these games, follow these basketball teams. And also the women's team did well in the tournament, and I'm sure he followed them throughout their journey as well. And to have them come out and show his appreciation and show, calling Kevin Ware to extend his, well wishes with his injuries. I think that just shows, he's there for the players and, his college as well.
Yeah, that was pretty funny too. I think he alluded to not being sure where he ranked along the lines of Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey. It's like, we have the Bill Center online with you too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, what do you think about his optimism about the Bills signing him? Sounded like both parties were very interested in getting it done. Obviously, they have a lot on their plate right now, maybe with some other priorities, naming the GM and then the Bird contract. But from what I got from him, it sounded like there was optimism on both sides.
Yeah, well, it certainly sounded like he wanted to be here, right? That's the vibe I got from our conversation, that he would like to remain in Buffalo. So we will see how everything happens, but that was definitely for what he could offer today on May 15th in the conversation with us. That was encouraging.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm excited for it, and I hope it goes through for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a huge asset for the team, and he'll be hopefully on the team for many years to come. Mm-hmm. Well, you've been listening to Bills Central Radio with Del Reid. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Deadlier, MrDeadlier, and with Chris Brown, and you can follow him on Twitter at CBreezy2411. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we will talk to you next time.
The following podcast is a part of the Pro Football Central Podcast Network. Check us out at ProFootballCentral.com.
Circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, guys, where else would you rather be? It's your hometown team. We out with Ralph Wilson. Tailgating. I'm cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on. Get my chill on. Get my chill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on. Get my chill on. Get my chill on. Running out the tunnel, Ralph Wilson Stadium. Fitzpatrick, Fred Jackson, Chan Gailey them. You hear the herd, there's no saving them. For the sleepers, we bringing them rude awakenings. Trust me, it'll never be safe again. See the defense, you should be afraid of them. Yeah, you should be afraid of them, cause they like takeaways, ask Tom Brady them. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on. Get my chill on, get my chill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on cold. Yeah, I get my Buffalo Bill on. Get my chill on, get my chill on. It's all